Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Kenny. I'm your host. We're here on Life on Life's Terms. This is episode 20. And today I'm going to try to build some rapport with you guys. I want you guys to get to know me so you can kind of like have a good understanding for other episodes why I have the perspective that I have of life and things and why I'm interested in the certain topics I'm interested in. Um, I'm gonna go back to like as far back as I can remember, and I'm just gonna give you like glimpses of events that happened that were of weight and like how I handled them and the effect that they had on me and how I carried that with me and how it eventually structured my persona like growing up. Like I had a different persona when I was like 7 opposed to when I was 9, but my persona when I was 9 was really created by the events that happened in the years prior. And I just want you guys to understand that. Like, I'm here, I'm here on this show for the purpose of providing you guys value. I want you to get something out of it, and I want you to be able to use my experiences maybe as a template for what not to do, or maybe just for reference. Maybe you can share it with somebody, it might help them. Um, I've had certain struggles and traumatic issues that happened to me throughout childhood that I did carry it with me. Like one, for example, and like she's the biggest saint in the world to me now, and like a huge mentor and role model, and I love her with everything in me. Is my mom. My mom is the best person in the world, but she wasn't always the nicest growing up. And I'm sure everybody's parents had their own issues, but she had like certain like she had her own post traumatic stress disorder, which she probably got from being in a relationship with somebody like my father. But in that sense, like, back in the day, like 20 years ago, people didn't have the awareness that they do now about like emotional intelligence and like that our thoughts potentially create our realities. So if that's not an awareness, like telling somebody to fuck off or insulting somebody is you just expressing yourself, and everybody has the freedom to express themselves, right? So whether it's like you a mother talking to a child 20 years ago telling the kid fold your fucking laundry, like I'm sick of cleaning up after you, you guys are fucking useless, I'm fucking out of here, shit like that 20 years ago was a little bit easier easily accepted in the eyes of society as it is today. Today, somebody like that would be like, "Oh, that's child abuse. That's verbal abuse. That's assault on your kid. You're gonna cause them post-traumatic stress disorder. You're give them all these fucked up disabilities." Da 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 da. But 20 years ago, they weren't aware of that stuff. So, like, one of the things that I specifically remember that really fucked me up was my mom like was like on a rampage, and like she would like start vacuuming when she was mad, and she would vacuum and like clean the house like profusely, and like as she was cleaning she would get madder and madder and madder, and she would like fucking like cuss at me and my brother and swear at us and like fucking lazy, no good, this that. And so we like got into these zones where we would kind of like close the door, turn some music on, play video games, like do whatever we could to like block this shit out. And then like as the vacuuming is like getting closer, it's coming down the hall, and you can hear this thing, and like your heart starts beating, and you're like getting anxiety because it's like mom's fucking crazy, we got the crazy bitch mom, like what are we gonna do? And then like, so one day I knocked over a pile of folded laundry, and she had a fucking meltdown. She like, my stepdad's Scottish, and he has a term for it. He used to call it a wobbler. And like, good thing my mom is technically declined. She's never gonna hear this, and if anybody shares it with her, then we're beefing. But she ended up like losing her shit and having like this nervous breakdown. And then that was it. She was gone. She was like, I'm fucking leaving you. Have fun living life without a mother. Fend for yourselves. And like, she was fucking serious. Like, she packed her fucking bags to leave. And me and my brother, like, I must have been like 4. And he was like 7. Maybe I was 3 even. And he was like 7 or 6. He's 3.5 years older than me. We were crying and like begging her to stay as she fucking lugged these suitcases out to her car. And we sat there on the driveway as she fucking drove off. And like, she wasn't gone for long. She came back. She must have like smoked 20 cigarettes and like realized that she's a piece of shit for leaving her kids, and she's got to go back and like try to fix the situation. But stubborn woman is she, and she still is stubborn as fuck today. She'll never admit it when she fucks up. But now today we're best friends. Like, yeah, I feel like a scumbag because I'm talking shit about what happened, but I'm just saying that this like psychological thing had an effect on me, because like even today I noticed myself, I got fucking a little bit of separation anxiety. Like, if I'm like in a relationship with a girl, or even like a close friend of mine, like a male friend, and I don't see him for a week, I'm like cheesed. I'm choked. If he doesn't call me at least like within a week, like I'm like, yo, motherfucker, why aren't you calling me? Like, this is upsetting me. Like, you're my friend. We collaborate together. Let's maybe that's it. I heard this book, actually. I haven't read it yet, but I've been a couple people told me about it. Codependency No More by Melanie Beattie. I heard it's great by several people, so maybe check that one out. See, I'm trying to provide value. So I realized today that events like that when I was a kid are affecting me now. I've come to this understanding that, and this is just from studying things, that when we have a neurological experience, whether it's physically in front of us, happening to us, it creates an emotional reaction. Well, it creates a chemical reaction, and that chemical reaction produces emotions in us. And those reactions create neural pathways in our brains. So like what Dr. Joe Dispenza says is that brain cells that fire together wire together, and we create these neural pathways, and it's really easy to go back to those neural pathways. And that's why if somebody has like say this event with my mother happened, and this happened all the time. So now if somebody's like doing dishes in the room and they get like mad and they're like banging dishes or something like that, or somebody's like, anybody around me gets mad and yells at their kids, I fucking like lose my shit. Like with everything in me, I have to keep composure around the child, not to like drop kick this mother in the face in Walmart because she's screaming at her kid, because I have this fucking buried fear of it from when I was a kid. And so now, so I'm a father. I have 2 beautiful girls, and like even when I talk about them, I get choked up because like I haven't been in their life as much as I should be because of dealing with fucking drugs and jail. But now that I got like 2.5 years clean, like I'm fucking in their lives, and I'm like the best dad ever, and they love me so much. But now, like, because of this experience when I was a kid, like, I do not yell at my kids. I do not ever like tell them that I'm never going to be there. Like, I always make sure that there's a sense of rapport with them. I want them to be open and honest with me, because when I was a kid, I couldn't tell my mom shit because she was psycho. Like, she had to be fucking nuts to be in a relationship with my father. And like having that understanding, like it took a lot of years, and like she thanks me today because as I'm reading these books that have helped me shape my perception of life the way it is now, and maintain and function the way I'm functioning, I teach it to her. And she always reminds me, she gives me the best birthday and Christmas cards. And she always, like, that's where I get the fucking good love bombs from her, is from the Christmas cards these days. And I forgive her for the shit that happened when we were kids, because she was, that was her level of awareness. You know, like her dad and her, well, I know, like my grandpa, well, he was a strict cocksucker, and like he was a good man, but like to his kids, he was strict. He was military. He was militant. And then like I was referred to the other day as a Pepsi generation by somebody my parents' age. So I guess that's Pepsi generation people. I'm 31. You know, we had a different approach to the way society is and how we need to live and maneuver in it. And that's like, you know, I'm not really here to comply to the rules, because I don't agree with the rules. I think there's better rules that could be made. I think there's better ways that we could live. You know, when back to like my childhood, one thing that like really affected me. Oh, okay, wait. So my mom, one time, like we used to fight, like, and this is years later. So I was a little older. I was probably like, I think I was like 11 or 12. My brother 3 years older than me. So my mom spent all this money and she hired us a family counselor, because like by this time my mom would tell us shit. And you know, my mom's little. I'm a pretty small guy too, but once I grew taller than her, I'm like, listen, you can't fucking talk to me like that anymore, or you're gonna get it right back. So like, every time she would try to like fucking lose her shit on me, I would just lose my shit right back on her. And it was like World War III in our house every day. Shit's getting thrown, fucking doors getting broken. And like everybody's at their wits' end, because we needed some structure and coping skills and like different ways to manage our emotions. So she brings in this family counselor. But at this time, I had an idea of what it was to get respect out of fear. And when this counselor came in and sat down, and he kind of like sided with my mom, and that didn't bother me, but the fact that he didn't recognize that we were taught by her, and that's why we were, you know, like I felt like it should have been like a shared experience. Like, don't just come here and slap my hands. Like, you know, we're all equally guilty of being a dysfunctional family. Work with the family, not just point at the kids and tell them that we're fucking scumbag kids for yelling at our mother, when that's like how we grew up, with screaming at each other, or her screaming at us. Well, at this time, this counselor, you know, it's some university guy in a suit showing up there and all smiles. When my brother ran downstairs and grabbed the baseball bat, and I opened the kitchen drawer and grabbed out a big knife, we told this motherfucker, you better get out of here or you're going to die in this house. And the look on his face to see these two little kids pull out weapons and threaten him to kick him out of the fucking house, like, that's something I'll never forget, for sure. I just after that, it was like, after that, I knew that I wasn't going to like be so bound to my family and like their expectations. I knew that like I had to just get out on my own. So like after that, you know, when I was 12, I was really became more independent, and I started looking for ways that I can like grow my life on my own terms. And I kind of just I've always been really perceptive, and I always like observe situations. And even when I was a little kid, I had a good understanding of like, I could feel it. I'm a Cancer, and for those of you that believe in astrology, I know some people think it's like witchcraft or hocus pocus, but I'm a feeler. Like at nature, I can walk into a room and I know the emotions of the people in the room because I could feel it too. And I started guiding my life in a direction that I thought would be most beneficial for me. I wanted to capitalize on opportunities. At a young age, I learned to manipulate people because I can sense their feelings. And if I can, like, I started it with I would experiment with my family and try to like manipulate them to getting what I wanted. But then I started doing it with like my teachers and people around me. And I noticed like I could sort of maneuver through life, and that became like uh, a mechanism that I used. And like even today, like I don't use it for manipulation purposes, but I like to think that I have a high emotional intelligence because I can now I use that on a different level. Like before, I used it as like a survival tactic because I thought, you know, there's certain things like I didn't get taught these life skills as a kid. Like the basic life skills my mom taught me was just like, love other people and always be nice. And like this is a very fucking vague statement. There's a lot to it now that I wish I knew when I was a kid, like the importance of thought and like how our thoughts can shape our destiny and our futures. Like, because back to like what Joe Dispenza says, brain cells that fire together wire together. So if we think this thought over and over and over, we can create it as a reality because we actually become that thought. An exercise that I use even to this day is like, and I explained it before, is the ideal scene exercise. I just hold that vision. I hold a vision for the future in my head. And this vision flashes before my movie screen behind my eyes, and I see it numerous times throughout the day. Like where I want my career to go, what I want my life to look like, how I want to be a father, certain aspects and details. I see it. It flashes before my eyes all the time. And that vision is what draws me out of any shitty circumstance. That vision keeps me on the right path. And I know that I'm becoming that vision. And I understand that now. The science is there now that when you have a thought over and over and over, we can create belief systems. That's what a belief system is. It's just a thought that you think all the time. Then you believe it. It's true. It's like that. It could be controversial, but some religions, in my opinion, in some religions that's how they're built off of that is, they teach these teachings over and over and over, and like same with the education system, they teach the stuff over and over and over, and then repetition makes a master, and then it becomes a belief system. Thought like a long time ago, they believed the fucking earth was flat, and that was it. You'd say the earth is round. No, fuck you. This guy's a witch. He's an idiot. Hang him. He's the town fool. And like now, they when they found out that you wouldn't just sail off the end of the earth, it changed the whole paradigm of the world. Like all the belief systems changed. But before that, like that was fact, right? So what we believe becomes fact. So if you like, when I was a kid, I believed that I was fucked up. I believed that because those are the thoughts that I had all the time because of my environment. I believed I was going to be stupid in school. I just believed it, like because I didn't have the emotional support or like the self-esteem. Like I wasn't taught how to build self-esteem. Why didn't they teach self-esteem in school 20 years ago? That's an issue. But so where should I take you now? Sorry if I'm all over. Like this is my first episode that I'm ever doing by myself, right? So I'm not here asking questions to somebody or answering questions. I'm just kind of explaining myself to you, and I'm trying to get in my zone, and I want you to get value out of this still at the same time while I give you glimpses of my life to so you can share my experience. Physical violence. When I was a kid, I seen some physical violence, and like not just on TV, but like in real life with my family members, like acting out in rage and like physically assaulting people in public. Like I seen a male mentor beat the shit out of somebody in the movie theater line with his bike helmet because the guy butted us. And then we just like, and I was a little kid. I was like 4 years old. And then we hopped on his bike and took off. And like, I didn't know how to take that. Like, is that the way society is? I was thinking like, is that like what's going on here? Like, do I have to do that? Will I be able to do that if I need to? And like, I'm having these thoughts as a kid, and I'm like the gut wrenching feeling of that, like nobody else has, like, and I'm talking to kids at school about it, and they're like, really, like, your family's messed up, and it's like, the worst ever, like, and there was a lot of stigma around this, and it affected my perception of myself after this, like, hugely, is that I was like 7, and I was in class, and my dad got caught with fucking rattlesnakes, and they put him in the paper, but they also like accused him of a whole bunch of shit, of like this gangster shit, and so there's this big write up on there, and it like made it to like right close to the front of the Sun, the newspaper, and so I was acting up in class, and this was like days after that article was published, and my teacher lost her shit on me because I was like talking in class, and like people were laughing, and we were kind of like joking around, and like she asked me to be quiet numerous times, and I just ignored her, and I kept going. But when she lashed out on me, she said, "You're going to be a bad person just like your father. Get out of my classroom." And like for an authority figure to say something like that to a child who's susceptible to that, that shaped my reality. That changed my reality from that point on. You know what? I owned it from that point on. I was fucked up. I was going to be the craziest little fucking bastard this world ever saw. Like, in my eyes at that time, I didn't care about rules now, because now I'm already listed as like a reject of society. And my teacher in like grade 3 told me I'm going to be a bad person when I grow up. And I thought that thought over and over, like I'll never forget that day. And that became a belief system. That was me from that point on, all through my teenage years and in my 20s, and right up until I was a fucking degenerate right until a couple years ago. But what it took for me to like get out of that stage of like being an egotistical cunt was I had to acquire knowledge to build a new identity. Because the identity that I built from childhood, it wasn't getting me the results that I wanted. It wasn't allowing me to be a good dad or a human in society's eyes. It didn't get me to where I wanted financially, because every time I kept going to jail, I'd lose everything I got. So I had to start looking for knowledge. There's this one verse in the Bible, I can't remember what it is, but it was about wisdom. And it's not that like knowledge is power. You need to accumulate the knowledge, and then you need to use it to produce good results. A person can accumulate all the knowledge you want, but unless you start using it to produce fruit, then you're not wise. And that's what like. It took me 5 years of reading books and like opening my mind to reprogramming my brain from this fucked up view of society as a kid to change it to where I am today. And like, I'm not rich yet, and I haven't saved the world yet, but my intentions are good. I love myself with my actions every day. My relationships are flourishing. I'm building new solid relationships and business partnerships. I'm going to school for social work so I can help the people that have gone through the fucked up shit that I've gone through. I'm working with a few different nonprofits where we're looking at build programs to help people. And like, I'm not saying this to boast, but like I've had to like change so much of my brain, of my life, of my identity. And change is the fucking hardest thing a person can do. If anybody says change is easy, they're lying, because or they haven't done it. It takes so much, because like who you are as a person, you're going to back that up. No matter what, you're going to back up who you are and what you believe in. That's you. And, you know, you can always say, "Oh, I'm the way I am because that experience that happened to me in the past." You know, lots of people have that. They use something that happened in their childhood to define them as they are 30 years down the road. And, you know, that person they are 30 years down the road may be not in good shape, maybe not a very good person, maybe not very nice. Well, I can't be very nice because my dad was abusive, or, you know, I was sexually abused as a kid. So now I'm depressed all the time and suicidal still. Or like something like this, some trauma could happen in our childhood. And lots of people can't get over that. But what I've been learning is that like, if we keep our thoughts on what we want instead of what happened, or our fear, or what we don't want, if we keep our thoughts on what we want, then what we want is going to come to us, because we become what we want. Instead of wanting material things, want the skills and abilities and the character traits and the personality to achieve those material things. You know, want to be a good person, because when you're a good person, you get good shit. You know, I love my dad, and I'm grateful that I've witnessed some fucked up shit with him, but I'm really grateful because he taught me what not to be. It took me a lot of years to come to that conclusion, because I idolized him for a long time. But he taught me that when you're set in your ways, you grow stagnant. Because everybody around you evolves, and society evolves, and the world's evolving, and people are learning more stuff. And one must continue to better themselves until they die. And that's a belief system that I have now, that I will continue to read books and do research and study self-development or business or a new language or anything. As long as we keep learning and evolving, we're doing a service to humanity. And if you're doing good and you can justify your good behavior as good behavior, it'll fuel you. It'll heal sickness. It'll stop like energy blockages. It'll help you in whatever ways you can. Hold that vision of a better future in your mind. Use your emotions. This is what I do. I use my emotions as guideposts. If I'm feeling shitty about something, it's a reminder for me that I need to start thinking, consciously thinking about what I want. And then it alleviates me from that emotion, and it reminds me that I'm heading back towards my goal. I got a little off things. I'm going to go back to my childhood again. Sorry, I was going on a tangent there. Self-development tangent. I do that every now and then. When I was in junior high, so like this stigma around having like organized crime in your family when you're a high school or junior high kid. Okay, in high school, we had this school cop. God bless her. I hope she's doing well these days. She used to pull me out of class. She would do random like spot checks and search me. And like, you know, yeah, I smoked weed in high school and sold weed, but she would like publicly humiliate me. And she had a good time doing it too. Like she would stop me right in like the center atrium of the school and pat me down because she said that I'm suspicious or she's suspicious of me. I think something's wrong with that. Like again, that just reaffirmed, maybe it was the energy that I was putting out because I had the belief system that I was fucked up. Maybe it was all self-induced, right? What could I have done for preventative measures at that time? Fuck, I don't know. I did what I knew best. Like I did what I could with the awareness I had, and everybody else does that too. Like my family, they're just doing the best that they can anyway. So like I don't hold anybody, I don't hold negative emotions towards anybody anymore for anything because I know people just do the best. It's the same with that school cop. She was just doing the best with what she knew at that moment. Um, One time I was sleeping. My house got raided. When I was in high school, my house got raided. And I was in the basement. I heard yelling, and I thought there was a fight upstairs. I thought my dad was fighting with his girlfriend or something. I went back to sleep. And then all of a sudden, the door flies open. And there's flashlights pointing at me, and these cops are screaming at me. And one comes in and rips the covers off the blanket and pulls me out of bed on my stomach and handcuffs my hands behind my back. And I'm laying there on the floor in my underwear, freezing, scared as shit, tripping balls. And I don't know what's going on. So they make me walk up the stairs backwards with handcuffs on just to be a cunt. I don't know why. And then they sit me down at the table and they start searching the house. And they're searching. And I'm thinking like, I only seen this in the movies, but like, don't they need a search warrant? I'm thinking to myself. And I didn't know, right? So I said, hey, where's the search warrant? And at the time, I couldn't understand the word he said. But he says his word, and he's like, if you can define that, I'll show you a search warrant. I said, don't you have to show it to me even though I don't understand what the fuck you just said? Like, I'm the only occupant of this house. You need to show me a search warrant. And I never seen a search warrant that day. But I sat at that kitchen table freezing my balls off in the winter while they searched the house for hours because it was like 3 a.m. until 7. And then they drove me to school in a cop car. And when they draw me off at school, the school cop, my favorite lady, God bless her soul. I almost want to drop her name right now, but I don't think it's good. She was there to greet me and escort me directly to my class. What a gem she was. Now, I'm not bashing police at all, but this lady, she was a gem. So that affected me. Like, like being in this raid, my dad was in jail. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And then they're like, yeah, go to school. And I had to like sit in class for that class. I didn't go to the next class. I left. And I was really depressed and traumed out, and my life was just strewn about. That was like, right after that actually was like my first encounter with crystal meth. Not long after that. And I actually found, like, I'd say it was like, I don't know, 6 months after that. My dad did get out of jail right away, and he was back and everything. But I ended up, like, finding a quarter. Well, I don't know, what quarter, I didn't weigh it or anything. Quarter, half ounce-ish of crystal meth in a bag in between the couch cushions. And I don't know how it got here or who let it fall out of their pockets when they were sitting on the couch. But I knew that it had to be some form of drug. I never seen it before. And I bring it to my buddy. And I was like, what's this? Crystal meth. Okay, let's do it. Sweet. And like for that year after that, I was like the harshest junkie for a kid could ever be. Like I must have weighed maybe like 120 pounds soaking wet. And, like my family, everybody knew something was up, but I just deny, lie, deny. I didn't care. Like, that was like, I found like a dependence. I found comfort in having a chemical dependence when I was in high school. And the thing I liked about it the most is it made me more fucked up. It enhanced the stigma that I'd grown so accustomed to of being fucked up. And that stigma lasted a long time, and it's intertwined and intermingled throughout all the shitty decisions that I've ever made. I was apathetic, like, about everything. Like, my favorite saying was I don't give a fuck. Let's do it. I don't give a fuck. You want to go fucking drive a truck through that fucking storefront and steal that ATM in it? Yeah, let's do it. I don't give a fuck. Let's go. You know, that attitude that I need to be crazier than the next guy. You know, I need to be badder. I need to build more street cred. Like, why did I have that persona, that mask? It was a defense mechanism. I built fucking defense mechanisms since I was a kid. You know, when my mom was flipping out, I had to fucking like put on a defense mechanism to kind of like stop it. You know, sometimes I would use my manipulation skills as a kid. I'd be, Mom, I love you. And I go hug her, even though like inside I hated her guts. You know, I would use my little manipulation skills as a kid just to like get out of that thing. Defense mechanisms. We got to survive. And if you're always in a state of fight or flight, your cortisol's dumping out in high amounts all the time. When you're in a fight or flight state, you don't give a fuck about anybody else or the world or anything. You're very selfish. And I lived in a state of fight or flight for like, fuck, my whole life. And even at times where I didn't have to, like, there was an out that I can go to somewhere where there's peace and harmony. I chose to stay in chaos because I was addicted to the fucking stress hormones, because that's what I grew up around. I guess that's why it's probably really important to like not put young children in like emotionally intense situations, like families that are fighting, or, you know, even like if a child grows up around fighting from infancy onwards, that kid is going to be addicted to cortisol. It's going to be addicted to the stress. It's going to be addicted to chaos. And it's going to create chaos because it's fucking addicted to it. So, like, I hope you guys are getting something from this, because, like, I'm even getting more revelations as I'm just telling you this shit. I'm, like, coming up with new paradigms for myself, different ways I'm going to be thinking about this for hours later. Oh, my God. I'm really excited to be part of this show. I'm really excited. I have a lot of good guests in mind already that I'm going to bring to you that are, like, industry professionals in different industries. I'm going to make it, like, my purpose and intention to find good people to talk to you, and I'm going to be hunting for them on the regular. You know, a big thing that's helped me make successful change is diet. And like, I still enjoy myself some treats every now and then, but I understand the importance of fueling the body with nutrition now. And, you know, everything in moderation, especially moderation, but being able to, like, you know, for a while when I was like a teenager or whatever, McDonald's and pizza, and like, then when I started drinking alcohol, it got even worse. But when you're putting poisons into your body all the time, it affects you cognitively. And I noticed, like, now that I look back on it, I noticed, like, throughout, like, from junior high until I was like 25 and I started to eat healthy and detox my body, I took a nosedive with my cognitive ability, and I became more primitive. And right now, I'm going to say that a part of that was because of how unhealthy I was due to the food I was eating and my lifestyle habits, like with drugs and everything like that. You know, our temples, our bodies is going to affect our brain. And our brain is going to affect our relationships. It's going to affect our ability to create. And so that's like one thing that, you know, my mom tried to teach me that, even though she's a carbohydrate junkie. She still to this day eats like 90% of her diet is carbohydrates. And she wonders why she's diabetic, or she's not diabetic, but she's got rheumatoid arthritis. And I keep telling her, Mom, that's the inflammation. It's because you eat too much sugar. It's because you got high yeast buildup in your body. It's not good. Not good. The emotions that I felt growing up were few. Like the emotions I felt when my mom would yell at me was like abandonment. Like I was alone. I was isolated. And I carried that with me like all the time. Like in school, I felt alone. I felt isolated. And like even today, I feel alone and isolated. But now I recognize it, and I do something positive with it, and I work with it, and it doesn't affect me like it affected me when I was a kid. When I was alone as a kid, I would cry like sometimes. Like I didn't have anybody to turn to. Like my teachers already thought, like in my perception, I couldn't turn to the teachers. They already thought my dad was a criminal and I'm going to be a criminal. And I was embarrassed to talk to anybody else really about it. Like, you know, some of my friends witnessed my mom lose her shit. And like, they wouldn't come over anymore because they probably told their parents when they got home and their parents stopped allowing them to come over. And, you know, that got even worse. Like my social exclusion was terrible. Like even on the sports teams that I played, like nobody talked to my parents when I played like hockey and stuff. Like they had only a couple friends. Like it was weird. Like we were kind of like tarnished in society's eyes because of, you know, like the newspaper clippings about my dad and shit. And I just that affected my self-worth. Like when I was a kid, I didn't know how to process these emotions properly, and it gave me a very pessimistic outlook on everything. You know, I thought, like, I didn't know, like, if other kids had this experience or not, but if they did, they were coping with it better than I was. You know, I recently read a study that asthma in kids 1 to 5 is caused from high levels of stress. And I had asthma so bad as a kid. I was in the hospital one time for 3 months. I almost died from asthma. And very rarely does somebody die from asthma. When I was 7, they had me on an adult dose of prednisone, the maximum adult dose of prednisone when I was 7. That's how bad my asthma was. I had a lot of pent up emotions and anger and fear and hurt and pain. I didn't know how to let it out. Everything got bottled up inside. I was never taught the skills of recognizing these emotions for what they were and like going through a process of dealing with them. That's what needs to be in schools these days. So from ages like this episode, basically I gave you guys a rundown of like as much as the traumatic episodes that I can remember right now at this moment. I know more will come in later episodes, but where I was emotionally through those states was what I want to share with you. Like I was desperate for connection with people. I was desperate for love. Like I needed it. I didn't like, I had a couple, like some friends, but not many. And I really tried to like act everything up. Like everything was okay. I always I was a professional actor. I could bottle any emotion really and put on a fake face and go to school. I used to wake up every single day for like 7 years with a stomach ache. I don't know why, like, they never diagnosed me with anything, nothing serious ever came from it. But like innately, I know that that's because like I was stressed out and I had like something was going wrong inside because I was so stressed and I didn't know what to do with it. You know, even though we're 7, we have all these feelings and physiological effects of them, and they carry on with us, you know, because brain cells that fire together, wire together, and what happens when we're young, it creates who we are. So next episode, I'm going to go into like, when I talk to you, I'm going to go into the next stages of my life, more from like high school up until I was like 25. And that's a whole nother story. But I'm going to start wrapping it up now because we're running out of time. And I hope you guys got something good out of this. I hope we like connected. We're going to start building rapport. I want you to know me and my sense of humor, my ideologies, like everything. Like I'm here for you guys. I'm here to bring you good stuff. So that about sums it up. I want to do a shout out though, like big shout out to Liam Conley at Conley Law for all of your Canadian law, will estates, and media issues. Google Liam Conley. Excellent guy, excellent lawyer. And please go to our Patreon page and support Southside Boxing Legion. 100% of your donations will be given to this nonprofit. And you can help a child get into sports and box tomorrow. Every month we feature a nonprofit, and this month we're featuring the Southside Boxing Legion. Go to our website and check it out. It's on there. So we have a Patreon account. So why you want to be a patron is that it gives you, the listener, access to Life on Life's Terms content before it's released on our different media avenues. So instead of waiting until Thursday and Friday, you can get it the day that it's recorded. Like all of our stuff is pre-recorded, but it's not edited. So we just record it a few days in advance and then we give it to you. But for the measly cost of 3 Canadian coffees a week, you guys can have this stuff earlier before everybody else. So like, get on it, you know, because we're providing you guys with value here, and you know, you can plug this in and download it on your phones and then play it in your cars on the way to work, and you can really connect with like, and we'll let you know like who we're having in the following week, and you're gonna want to tune in for some of the people I'm bringing in. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope you liked it. I'll be back. I got more. There's more good stuff coming. Have a good one, all.